Welcome to Newsline in Depth. I'm John Ledoux in Tokyo. To commemorate this year's 80th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, NHK World is sharing stories of people who work to remember the past and pass on the torch of peace for future generations. And some of these stories start with artifacts that survived the blasts, becoming reminders of the horror of nuclear weapons. Today we feature a piano that was witness to the devastation in Hiroshima. A German playwright created a theater piece incorporating the instrument to shed light on the destructive consequences of conflict.
Florian Goldberg touches the keys for the first time, something that he had long dreamed of.
Very emotional, I must say. I've read so much about it. Try to imagine what it would be like, but it's a completely different experience.
The artist has been active in conceiving, writing, and producing plays with his wife, Heike Tauch. Their works range from social satire, historical drama, and philosophical material. For the past few years, Goldberg and his collaborator have been immersed in a special piece featuring this piano. Made in America, the instrument belonged to Kawamoto Akiko, who was born in Los Angeles in 1926. In 1933, the family moved to Hiroshima, where she played the piano with her mother and took lessons regularly at a music school. But her musical career was silenced on August 6, 1945. Akiko was just 800 meters away from the bomb's epicenter. Though she made it home, she died the next day, just 19. Her beloved piano was damaged in the blast. Glass shards remained embedded in its left side. Goldberg heard her story from a Japanese journalist based in Germany.
Instruments would kind of hold the memory of certain events within themselves. Akiko's piano, it was very instantly clear that we would want to follow that path and try to tell the story of Akiko and include that in the play.
In 2022, Goldberg and Tauch created Borrowed Landscape, a production of Akiko's tragedy comprised of music and narration.
A white light, a flash, so bright it's as if the sun has fallen into my head.
It debuted on German public radio and was later adapted for the stage, where it premiered in New York in 2023.
No more than I could today.
For the 80th anniversary of the bombing, Goldberg is in Hiroshima for the first time, where Borrowed Landscape is slated to be performed. Even after years of research on Akiko and her piano, he is struck anew about the reality of the atomic bombing. He is allowed access to materials that are kept in storage. Akiko's diaries.
1940. Piano 上手に play. She could play the piano very well.
This passion for the piano that she would write about it again and again, and it is such an important part of her life.
Piano.
Accompanying him is Futakuchi Tomie, who runs a group that acts as guardian to Akiko's piano. For a time, she lived in the same neighborhood as the girl's parents, who had held onto the piano. And this is how she first came to learn about Akiko, more than half a century after her death.
Akiko-sanのこう
I want to realize Akiko's wishes in some way, and that is what has kept me going.
And through her group, she has done just that, organizing concerts and peace talks across Japan for the past 20 years.
Akiko-san だけじゃなくて
I want young people to become aware not only of Akiko, but also of other people like her.
Akiko started keeping a diary from age 6. Early entries show a bright girl fond of her family and her piano. But as the war progresses, her tone slightly shifts.
January 3rd, 1942. The Imperial Army has captured Manila, the capital of the Philippines. Such joy. Fallen, fallen. Manila has fallen. February 17th. On the 7 o'clock news, they said that Singapore has fallen. I jumped for joy. I thanked our soldiers.
Goldberg never fails to wonder at how a country can transform the heart of a young girl like Akiko to blindly believe in its cause. He decides to incorporate a few lines inspired by Akiko's writings in his piece.
There's a connection. That's the only thing.
子供たちに忍び寄る洗脳。彼女は熱心で勤勉で言われたことを信じていた。
He sees his piece, Borrowed Landscape, as very relevant to people today.
Teenagers or children who are dying because of the bad choices their governments made. And so the question for us is, what can we do to prevent that?
It's the day for the Hiroshima performance.
「子供たちに忍び寄る洗脳。彼女は熱心で勤勉で言われたことを信じていた。あの時代の子供なら当たり前のこと。今もそうだろうか。私はただ運が良かっただけなのかもしれない。運よく民主主義の社会に生まれただけ。
戦争、またしても戦争。何も知らない若者たちを戦わせ、殺すために駆り出す。
And now Akiko's piano is silenced no more.
Even instruments hold memories. We have to find ways to keep those memories alive.
As the next generation, it is imperative to pass on the events through action.
Akiko's spirit was here, her piano was here. We have a responsibility to not look away and to not be silent and to not forget and to educate our children and actually educate ourselves in the first place.
And joining me now in the studio is Yoshikawa Ryuichi, who covered this story. So Ryuichi, the play's Hiroshima debut looked like it was well received.
Yes, it was. Florian Goldberg told me it was a dream come true to see his piece performed in Hiroshima, where Akiko played her treasured piano, but where she also senselessly lost her life and the piano, its sound as well. While remembering victims like Akiko is obviously very important, Florian hopes audiences will also think about what they can learn from the past. As a German artist, he grew up believing that in order for history not to repeat itself, we should never shy away from it. And that is why, along with the piano, Borrowed Landscape, his piece, features a violin and a double bass. They too were silenced, and their players were lost to the catastrophe that Nazi Germany brought upon the world. His views were shared by his wife Heike, who tragically died of cancer last summer. I had the chance to talk to her in one of her last interviews, and here's what she had to tell me.
Akiko's piano is not a thing of the past. In this very moment, many Akikos are probably dying in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Israel, without the world noticing.
So do you understand that Florian and Heike brought in creators from many places to realize their vision, right?
That is right. Borrowed Landscape was created in collaboration with a Japanese composer, as well as the support of the Japanese journalists and artists in Europe. So it is truly an international production investigating war's collateral damage on humanity. 8 decades since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While honoring the memories of the victims is important, it is also important to remember how countries can make terrible choices that ultimately lead to great suffering.
Indeed, it's very important. Thank you, Ryuichi, for your moving story.
My pleasure.
That's all for this edition of Newsline in Depth. Thanks for watching.